The marathon is not the benchmark of all running.
I like that.
That needs to get in the bin.
Breathing in particular is something that people
you're going to all tell us to breathe through our noses?
No, I'm going to tell you to breathe appropriately for the activity you're doing.
Because the shoes are just a tool, aren't they? They're fundamentally bits of foam that you strap to the bottom of your feet. So as long as they're comfortable, that's the best thing.
I think actually a lot of creative people have it as a physical practice. If you're interested in being creative, is really important actually. Yeah.
Hello and welcome to Men's Health Built for Life podcast with me, Ben Shephard, alongside Men's Health Fitness Director, the only person who really knows what on earth is going on, AT.
If the conversation previous to us rolling is anything to go, I'm just as confused as everybody. Today we are joined by Ben Hobson and Rick Pearson, the voices behind the Runner's World podcast, our sister podcast and publication, two of my go-to sources for inspiration and information when it comes to all things running.
Yeah, between them they have spent years at the sharp end of running culture, testing kit, cutting through training trends, translating endurance science into advice real runners can actually use, whether it's helping beginners to get started or keeping seasoned runners honest. They've got their finger firmly on the pulse of why and how running works.
Sound about right?
I mean, that's very nice. Yeah, very nice.
Overplayed it a little bit. First up, really important question, actually. I just want to clarify. It's pronounced yogging, right?
That's correct, yeah. It's a soft J.
Soft J. Yeah. Seriously, running is having a very, very big moment. I imagine running's always very big for you guys, but in the mainstream consciousness, it's huge.
Definitely.
Discuss.
Yeah, we kind of talked about it a few months ago. We said we're in a running boom. So I think the first running boom was in the 1970s. And there was another running boom in the sort of 1990s when Oprah Winfrey started running marathons. But we're definitely in the third one, which is, I think, based around...
Has she started running again? I missed that.
Yeah, maybe she never stopped. But yeah, I think it's based around running crews and some online running and all those kind of things that people are now doing.
I think it was sort of the legacy of COVID as well.
Yeah.
Was a big sort of uptake out of necessity.
Yeah.
And then those who hung on are still doing it. So there's a sort of a sweet spot of just a myriad of different things have all come together to combine, and then there's a sort of... It's also quite cool.
It's become cool.
It's good. It's certainly got an aesthetic. I'm sure we'll get into that. But I always quote this, and I can never find my source, so maybe it just came to me in a dream. But it's that there's always an uptick in endurance running around kind of like times of social upheaval.
Yeah, I think this is in Born to Run.
That's correct. Yeah, I think that's where I read it.
So he talks about, there was a kind of very... big book called Jogging that came out about 1967, 68. So he thinks that, that was kind of the Vietnam War was happening and people start running at times of crisis.
Yeah.
Which I think is a little bit of a stretch. Like a lot of things in that book is a little bit of a stretch.
Very much.
But it's an interesting kind of line of argument. And you could make that case now, actually, that people maybe are embracing kind of simple back to basics things.
Yeah.
In that kind of time, yeah.
I think sort of putting switching it around, you could maybe even say that the popularity of running is a good recession indicator.
Yeah.
I think have less money to spend.
Yeah, I mean, there's a reality to it that if you're looking to be active and you kind of can't afford the gym and you can't do something X, Y, and Z, it is quote unquote that affordable thing that you can do. And so, I mean, people do take to it.
Yeah.
From your perspective, two passionate runners host the podcast, been talking about doing the podcast since 2018.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
So been going for years. What's been the impact of this uptick in the popularity of running at the moment? Because it is everywhere on my social media. I'm following loads of runners. It just pops up on my algorithm. I think that's incredible. I love their work. That's a lot of thing. What, from your perspective, do you think has been the sort of the overall feel about that?
Yeah, I think running's become younger. I think younger and cooler, and the kind of things that people are discussing with the kind of fashion and running feel closer together, which is something that when I was getting into running journalism, probably in 2014, 2015, the idea that running could be cool or something that you do on a first date or something that lots of young people would want to do or have in their kind of dating profiles, that would have seemed preposterous at that point. So actually, I think a lot of it is, I think, quite unexpected. I've always thought running's cool, but actually that seems to be a kind of general
Everyone's
idea.
Finally come round to your way of thinking.
To my way of thinking.
Took a while. But I think it's like it is a net positive. Like I think if you think about like the gym in January, right? If you've been going to the gym for years and years and years, and then suddenly January rolls around, and every time you go, oh man, this gym's so full and I hate it, and there's people, he's not lifting properly, or da-da-da-da. You could say the same for running. You could sit there and go like, oh, we've been running for so long, and that person's just joined. But that's on you on you taking the wrong response. Like it's net positive that more people are running, more people are into it. They're looking after themselves. They have they've been brave enough to get out there and try running. It's quite, it takes a lot of effort. So I think that more and more people doing it is just, it's a wholly positive thing. And there's probably like small negatives that people can like lean into if they really wanted to.
Yeah.
But ultimately, the more people being active is great.
I got out on Sunday. I'm going to run the marathon. I'm going to try and run the marathon this year for the first time in age. I've got quite a lot of injury issues. The question is, can I get to the start line and do the marathon and get my body around it? I quite like that as a story. But it's the first time in a long time I've been to park near me, and it was so full of runners, of cyclists and people out and about. And I find that incredibly inspiring. Yeah. I love watching other people run. If I'm at home and I see someone run past my window, I think, I want to be out running.
Yeah.
I find it really it's contagious.
Completely. I mean, there's an amazing stat last year that over 1 million people applied to be part of the London Marathon.
Is that right?
Yeah, over 1 million. It's actually and that's gone up from, I think, 500,000 a few years ago, 750, and it's over 1 million. So it's actually like
explosion.
Yeah, it's an explosion of running. Yeah, and I think like you, when I see people out running, I think it's good.
I love it.
Yeah.
Is there a sting in a towel for that at all? You mentioned that there's things you could kind of grab hold of that. I don't want to use the word negatives, but maybe, downsides to, it's like anything when it has a boom, right? There's going to be that teething troubles.
I mean, when anything gets massive and the source of information that then people lean into for their own progression, say, so you could take social media as one of them. There's a lot of people out there who will be doing stuff randomly and sporadically and without any sort of great learnedness and giving off advice and telling people to go and do 100 miles easily and all this sort of stuff. And people might read that and will see it and watch it and go, God, I'll just do that. And then they go off and really hurt themselves because they haven't trained with anything. You've got to have a bit of a, sense of what you're doing. And I think that there's a lot of that. So influencers can make it harder for people. Social media is a bit of a joy vacuum anyway. If you start going into it and you're like, why am I not as good as that person? There is that. So I guess it depends on where people are looking for their inspiration. If it's going to the park and seeing lots of people running around, that's lovely. Like, that's great. What a place to be, and just joining in a club or that. But if it's looking at your phone and going, I wish I could do that.
Yeah, I'm never going to get there. So what's the point of me starting?
Yeah.
What's your biggest gripe in that area? Or not necessarily gripe, but in terms of people putting stuff out that you're like, this might potentially be putting people off,
I think
people.
It's like training or injury advice about stuff that you're like, you've probably only been running for 6 months, but you feel like you've absolutely...
6 months is generous.
You've nailed it.
I think it's 3 weeks in, and it's sort of it's like, I'm doing this, and I'm, everyone should have 100 grams of carbs every run that they do, or like just I think it's just that misinformation bit, which can be simple and it not completely detrimental. You can get by if you read it or something, but then there could be something that's just like, just run as far as you can without any training. Yeah. And that happens. Like, people are like, I just thought I'd sign up for a race and not do any training.
Yeah, marathon on no training was a worrying trend for a while. Kind of, just see if I can do it on no training whatsoever.
Which is like, if you've got people coming from an endurance sport in general, like say you've got like a really good aerobic capacity and you can do it.
That's feasible.
Yeah, it's feasible.
It's painful, but it's feasible.
Yeah, so the impact will be the thing that kind of takes you out. Your body's not built up the resilience to cope with it. But if you've done nothing, if you're just literally like from square one, that's obviously going to be way harder. And
couch to 26.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. But I guess that's it all. In every field, right? That happens. People get overexcited. People get enthusiastic. Once there's money on the table as well, people find a litany of ways to go
and lift something really heavy for no reason.
Exactly that. Yeah.
What do you think is the biggest factor in people who start their running journey, Rick, but then give up quite quickly?
I actually think it's injury. I think a lot of people they set out and they maybe go a little bit too fast, which is another thing that is common among beginner runners. But I think people get injured, don't quite work out why, and don't look into strength training. Actually, I think so. I think runners really need to take strength training a lot more seriously. So I hear that so often. It's like, I started, my knee ended up hurting, so I just decided running wasn't for me. And I think actually it's a shame, because you could have explored that a little bit more, or maybe approach running in a slightly more sensible way to start off with, and you could still be running.
That feels like actually a big shift. Just the idea that strength training and running go hand in hand. Maybe in the previous booms they weren't necessarily.
Yeah. It's just like one of the things we revisit so much when we're trying to like tell a story to a new runner. Like, this is the important bit, and the mistake. I'm going to get out there and run as fast as I can, or as far as I can, and just like ramp it up straight away, and just be as much of a runner as I possibly can. And it's that thing of being like, that's great, but instead of doing 5 runs a week all of a sudden, do 2 and then start doing some strength work to sort of supplement whatever it is you're doing, because your body's going to have to absorb all this new stuff that you're throwing at it. And one thing that you want to do is protect it. And that's where the strength stuff comes. And I've been rubbish at that. Like over the years, I'm only just starting like doing proper strength work when it comes to running.
And what sort of a difference have you found that's made?
Well, yeah, it's off. I mean, I had to get to like being injured.
Yes.
And then going, I should probably, because
It's the classic arc.
it's the classic like, whoa. But it's with anything. If you're familiar with a sport or familiar with an activity, so say going to the gym, if you were going to the gym and you all the time and someone says start doing running, if you don't want to run, you know that you can skip the run and go to the gym and you're in your happy space and you can just carry on. It's the same with runners. Runners will be like, I should go to the gym, but
Love to run.
I love running, so I'm just going to go and get another run in. And so you kind of default to the thing that's the easiest because it gives you pleasure and joy and you like it and you like the stimulus that it gives you. But it's also, you can just ignore the other thing easier. Whereas the strength stuff is so like fundamental
And
now.
it's very sort of delayed gratification as well, right? Because you're not seeing an immediate, if you like running, but I've got to go away and do this other thing that might have some payoff down the line, but it's not immediate. And I think it's really easy as well, because running is, I guess it's the converse of the gym, in which that you can go into the gym and lift heavy and injure yourself, but because weights are heavy, you often just, you can't do it. Whereas running, people can go out and hurt themselves at a much kind of, it's almost the exact converse of
you
training.
You can self-implode really quickly.
Very quickly. And I like, to your point, a lot of people then don't realise, why is this happening to me?
Yeah, completely.
Yeah.
I've got 2 boys who are now 20 and 18 and much bigger than me, much stronger than me. And I sort of try and compete to try and stay fit and healthy with them. But going back to when they were little, I think something that I found was that as kids, we get taught everything. You get taught about how to cross the road. You get taught how to get dressed. You get taught how to swim. You get taught how to sort of walk carefully down the street. The one thing we don't teach our kids is how to run, right? It's just that innate thing that everyone believes that they just should be able to run. And if you go to any children's sports day, which I've done, you see all these different styles of kids running. Our eldest, Sam, he grew really fast, so his nervous system wasn't able to keep up with his arms and his legs. I mean, he could knock stuff over in a room with nothing in. So we took him to running school, and it was one of the most extraordinary things. I'd never really contemplated this. There was a school that was set up so he could understand, actually, because the way he was running was he was letting his limbs sort of lead him, but he had no concept that actually there's a framework that you can learn to actually instruct how you run, so you don't break when you put your foot down, but your weight's going forward and all those sorts of things. Yeah. I feel like that's something that could be incorporated into PE lessons. I know there's less and less of that sort of going on, but understanding the fundamentals of running is something that running experts would make a massive difference to children as they're growing up. So by the time they start running, because I'm convinced that I run badly and that causes me more injuries, because I was never given any sort of sense that actually physiologically, do you know what you want to try and do? You know what you're actually trying to do when you run?
Yeah, I think that's so true. Like we kind of think running is such a natural thing. Yeah. Like you don't teach people how to walk, really. So why do I need to learn how to run? You'd never say that about swimming or like playing tennis.
So here's the thing. I think you do teach kids, like, because that the first phase is them pulling themselves up, and then you hold their hands, and then they walk around with you as they build up that strength.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
And they slowly but surely work through, and then all of a sudden they're away and they're running. Yeah. They teach themselves how to run, and we chase them around the room or we throw balls for them. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. That's what you mean. Yeah. I think with running form, it's interesting. I'm against the idea that there's only one way of running, but I think there is. Good running form is united by certain principles, like running tall, landing underneath yourself rather than way out in front. There's been books written about the importance of where your foot hits the ground, what part of your foot hits the ground, and I think actually the evidence is a little bit split on that. Okay. But yeah, I'm with you, and I think actually once you learn good form in something, I'm sure it's true with lifting weights as well. It actually becomes much more enjoyable, right? Because you kind of you're less likely to get injured. You've kind of done a little bit of research into it. And I feel that way about running. I did quite a lot of work into running form, and actually it's been, as a long-term investment in the thing that you love, it's really worth doing, I think. Yeah,
there's a great parallel there in that most schools nowadays have some sort of multi-gym, whatever it is, but they don't just let the kids go in. They don't just the door, you'll figure that out. But from the age of 5, and it can be, and again, I think it's something people overlook, right? Injurious maybe less so when you kind of got that sort of plasticity when you're young, but how often do we see people maybe have got a bit older, got a bit sedentary, just assume it's something they can jump straight back into and go and play five-a-side football?
Yeah.
And how many hamstrings have been lost to that endeavour? Yeah.
I think this is, and then everyone like listening or watching this is probably going to be at a level of fitness where they'll think that running is a given. And I think that that's kind of almost, it's potentially more risky than if you were completely unfit, because entering into something where if you're not restricted by your like cardiovascular system, which is a great restrictor if you're new to something, skill acquisition like tennis. If I went and played tennis now, I'd be having to learn all of these skills, and that would be the sort of great limiting factor and probably save my shoulder or and so the thing with running is if you've got a good engine but you haven't built up any of the tolerances,
the skill of running,
then you get that sort of like, oh wow, that's why it hurts, and I've stopped because of this sort of stuff.
I refer to that as being in the gym strong enough, or in this case fit enough to hurt yourself. Like you're just fit enough to sort of write a check your body can't actually
that's
cash.
Good. That's a good phrase. That
what does, you just touched on it there, there's solid principles that you believe, form probably exists on a spectrum. I watch videos of myself back, and actually to this point I'm like, I don't actually know how to run.
No.
Like I don't.
Seeing yourself running is the worst thing you can do to encourage yourself to do.
Nearly as bad as seeing yourself dancing. Don't ever do that. I'd advise you never to.
But at least that one you can be like, I was just having fun. But like,
I was really drunk.
You sort of think you're so elegant. Smooth, I am grace personified.
Yeah,
and then
like
you sit
a
and go, it's like a terrible.
What are the principles, as you say, that probably underpin good running? Like as close to as we're going to get sorting this conversation out.
Okay, I think things that we can be sure about is when you land with your foot wants to land very close to your centre of mass and not really far out in front of you, but kind of, it's very hard to land exactly underneath you, but you want to be quite close underneath you. Where you land is a moot point in terms of whether it's forefoot, midfoot or heel. Okay. But if you're landing underneath you, you're not going to be doing huge amounts of damage either way, regardless of what you go. I think running tools are a really good cue. So the idea of getting like high hips, the idea that maybe like a balloon is pulling your head up, because that actually gets you in the right kind of athletic position to run. And then I think thinking about cadence, most people's cadence, so the amount of steps they take per minute running is probably, in most people starting off, is probably a little bit low. And if you up your cadence, what you'll find is you're much less likely to land too far in front, which would be called overstriding. So I think if you look at those three things, you'd be in a relatively good place. And then there can be, within that, there can be little variations, like your arm carriage can be a bit different. And you even see that in pro runners. And your cadence will be affected a little bit by height. So someone like Ben would naturally have a slightly lower cadence than me by nature of being taller. Yeah.
Is there a cadence sweet spot? Because this is something
there's meant to be.
So there was always, for a long time, it was like, you need to be doing...
The noise you both made when he asked that question is hilarious. Well, I feel like we've got some sort of fantasy. Oh, here we go, cadence.
Here we go.
It was always like 180. 180.
Yeah.
180 sort of... Yeah, so like...
3 steps per second, basically. Yeah.
Which was always... If you're nowhere near that and you try and go and do it, it feels bizarre.
It does feel so bizarre.
Because you feel like tiny little... It feels like you're doing tiny little skippy steps.
Yeah.
That feels fast.
It's really fast. I'm probably more like a 170. It depends. So when you run faster, naturally your cadence improves.
Yeah.
So biomechanically, the faster you run, the better you are.
Yeah.
So in that sort of way, that sort of, your cadence will be quicker. You'll be using posterior chain to move the leg and all this sort of stuff. So faster running naturally brings a better cadence and a better form.
Sort of forces you into.
Yeah. I think
right,
that's
right.
Yeah.
So when you slow down, that's when the cadence bit comes in. So there's good form for slow running, and that's where the sort of the trade-off comes in. So that step count naturally decreases when you run slower. So you're kind of like trying to run slowly, but with a high cadence, which then makes you work harder because you're moving your legs at a higher rate, but without the sort of, so your effort levels, it's really hard. So if you start running and you go, I'm running really slowly, but my heart rate's up, but you're trying to get 180 beats, 180 steps. You're just like,
it's very fast. It's fast for a slow run.
Yeah, So I think the more kind of mellow approach would be like somewhere between 170 and 185, which should cover most things, and that should be regardless of pace.
Yeah.
It should be
I think north of 165 is like you've got to be, because then that's just anything. When you get really low, you're increasing what's called your ground contact time. That's the longer your feet are on the ground per step, the more effort. And when you're running, you're increasing your body weight by like the sort of force is going through is like 2%, two times higher or something like that.
Yeah.
So if you think that the longer your feet are on the ground, there's more force of you
impact
going through the joints and everything.
Okay.
So you kind of, the higher cadence means your feet aren't on the ground for a long time. So your ground contact time is less, which means there's less force, a longer period of time under force. So that's why the cadence is kind of important, because you're reducing the amount of strain on things.
Is it important that people train that?
I think you do need to train it a little bit.
Yeah.
Some people are just naturally blessed with an amazing running style, and that's just annoying.
Really annoying.
But that's just life, isn't it? You know. But I think a little bit of training early on, and it can be mentally fatiguing, that stuff as well, because you're just going out for a run. You'd be like, well, I'm trying to hit pace. Now I'm counting or whatever. But then there are like metronomic apps and stuff, and there's playlists and stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. If it's at 180.
Well, the drum base tends to be about 170 to 180. So if you can run to that and kind of keep your footstep in time with the snare.
Yeah.
Then you're right.
Good hack.
Good.
Was drum and bass created by passionate runners? Is that what it was?
You know, well, endurance sport, standing around at night.
Someone must have
The
done a
Venn
run. There
diagram.
must be a run and
There must be.
Run and base. Oh, let's be.
Oh, yeah, of course there is.
If there isn't, come on.
I have one. I go slower. I do 90 BPM. And then you're just running at double the cadence.
yeah,
but I find that slightly, especially for longer runs, you're not then
It's less
like,
manic.
it's less manic. You don't find like your nervous system is getting fried because you've got Mickey Finn drum and bass in your ears. You've got some like Lauryn Hill, but it is like 180. I've really struggled with on a slow to try, and it does get fatiguing. I realise when I've dropped back and I'm like, I need to get back in time.
Yeah.
I think people can chase it and it becomes too problematic.
Yes.
But I think it's important to recognise if you're going too slowly and to try and amend it.
100%.
And that's as good as you can possibly want.
And you can embed it as well. I think that's it. Like, I don't think about that stuff anymore, but I would imagine my cadence is somewhere in that decent zone now. So if you can put up with kind of a few months of like, I'm doing this for the long-term good of my running, it's the payoff is worth it overall, definitely.
That's where I like the playlist, because then it's like guardrails more than having a metronome. So it's more like you kind of realise you've drifted off.
That's
and
the
you
way
can come back in.
Most tech as well, like you can get bombarded with it, but like a decent, I'm saying
I was going to say
with my Casio, the Casio, but you get a Garmin or a Coros or Sunto, whoever it is, it will have a the cadence thing on it, and you can have it as you can change the watch face so it just says that to you the whole time.
So you can really practice into
it. So it's not even, you don't have to listen, you could just have the watch and you can set alarms. It will beep at you if you go below a certain cadence.
Right.
So you can really you can lean into the tech a bit and kind of educate yourself that way.
Tell me, so my plan is to do the marathon first time in years, as I said.
Yeah.
What do you think if people are sort of approaching some event or even just getting back into running to understand sort of how they can make meaningful change to their fitness or their running strength? What's the sort of the minimal dose that you boys believe that people need to be doing in order to start seeing some sort of progression?
I'm saying this as a runner, and so I think 3 times a week is a really good place to go if you're actually going to try and do an event.
Right.
I think you can get improvements probably on 1 run a week. But I think doing 3 runs a week, you'd see relatively rapid improvement. And you could also sign up for various events, including like ultra marathons. You could do that on 3 runs a week if you got it right. And there's a training method called the Thurman method, which is all about 3 runs a week that have variety in them. So you do a long run, an interval session, and a kind of threshold run. And it's supplemented by 2 cross training activities, so like cycling and swimming or something. And that actually, I know a lot of runners who've done that with really good results, and you're much less likely to get injured probably from that as well.
I'm going to champion the sort of the 1 run, because, and not from a fitness. So if we remove the sense that you're going for an event or anything like that, if someone's listening about the benefits of running, I want to say just doing that 1 run a week, the impact that can have on you from your fitness, and we'll include mental health in that whole spectrum of fitness. Just getting out once as a sort of like a learning process, but also just the headspace, the time on feet. Because it's so metronomic, and because you have that sort of sense of focusing on something that's separate to the internal dialogue, running's just phenomenal for just that switching off and not being present in your head. And I think that's really, really important when, championing the cause of running, because it beyond lots of other sports, it's the one that I found the most that you can just be like, oh, wow, I didn't think about anything that was in my head while I was just out there running. That was it. The scenery's good, get a nice park, find somewhere nice to run. All of those things are definitely like a big plus. But so just doing it once a week.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great. I mean, running really does have all the ingredients of flow, right? Down regulation, the default mode network, all these great anxiety relieving hormones, etc. And I think you make a brilliant point there in differentiating. Maybe just thinking about what do I want to get out of this? Because I've fallen into this exact thing before, where it's like I want to get good at running. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to do the 3-4 times a week thing. Yeah. And then I kind of burn out of that and I don't run again for ages. Whereas just accepting, and I've got an opening paragraph, something I'm writing in a moment. And it's literally like, I've realized after 37 years, I love running once per week. Like that's how much I love running. Yeah. And it's the sweet spot. And I think if you go into it thinking there's no point.
Yeah.
You're instantly setting up a barrier for yourself.
That's true. Definitely. Yeah. And we've talked to elite athletes, or remember Elliot Giles? He's kind of an Olympian, and he runs 15 miles a week, which is relatively low even for a kind of amateur runner, and he does a lot of stuff on an elliptical. He can be found around the kind of like the roads near Brighton on an elliptical.
Does it reduce the impact? Or
reduce the impact? It's too much of a risk for me to run more than that. He said he was the best cross trainer in the world. That was his quote. And it was like, well, he's Olympian, and I'll never run anywhere near the times he runs, even though I might be doing double the mileage that he does. So there's different ways to go about it. Definitely.
Yeah, that's the conversation we've been having, right? Like, what's the way to build that capacity, still build the skill of running. But avoid the wear and tear on your body.
It's huge, It's a bit, I think for a lot of runners, concentrating more on the strength stuff. Like we did a podcast a while back with Brian McKenzie, the kind of CrossFit endurance guy, and I think it was called like can muscle replace mileage? And we were looking at his take on it was when you look at people who cross a marathon finish line, it's not an aerobic problem. It's not like they're massively out of breath. They're just completely beaten up by the experience of running 26 miles. So he said if you can be strong, your ceiling for hitting that's going to be much much better than someone who doesn't strength train, thinks it's just an aerobic problem, and actually gets to like 18 miles in and the body breaks down basically. So I think there is a lot of sense in that as well.
There's Joe Pavey, who's Olympian again, columnist in the magazine. She comes on the pod and she's champion of aqua jogging. It's this great sort of like, so in her training. And you can do it so much with it. You can get that sort of base endurance with it, sort of slowly moving through the water using the resistance, or you can sprint, and like proper sprinting underwater is terrible. Like it's so hard.
It's like sled dressing.
You're maxing your heart rate, you're through the roof straight away. And it was when you sort of get that sense from an Olympian who's been five Olympic games in her career, and you're like, oh yeah, like there's more than one way to skin a cat. She's like, aqua jogging was like benchmark. Look, she's
really into it. She's really into it.
Yeah. I mean, the other thing that's brilliant about that is I've had so many friends, really good friends, knee replacement, getting in the pool, and that's essentially his entire rehab was built around getting in a pool because of this sort of the support. I think it's one of the things that I'm sort of going to lean into back as well, because if you can actually, if you can actually build the aerobic endurance that you need, but without the impact, then equally sort of mentally standing on the start line thinking, I've done the training, I've put my body in the right place to be able to take this on is incredibly empowering.
Yeah. I used it after a back injury.
Did you?
Yeah, that was the main thing.
Have you tried one of the gravity ones as well?
They look on the treadmill. Anti-gravity.
When I did my ACL, I did one of those. I quite catastrophically wrecked my knee a few years ago playing football and wanted to get back. And I got invited to go and try one. It was amazing. It's like running on the moon. It was really. But what the most exciting thing about it was, even though I knew my knee, and I'd sort of had an operation, I'd done some of the rehab on it, and the rehab on that was worse than the injury itself. So much worse. But it was so exhilarating being able to move my legs at pace, being able to feel like I was running, and I got that the endorphin release from it because I was being supported. Unfortunately, not everyone can do it because it's quite an expensive thing to be able to do to get access to them. But it was a remarkable experience. It was mentally, it was all the more important than the physical. Just because I was like, you're going to get
I can do this.
It was great. It was joyous.
Yeah. It's interesting, isn't it? That it feels like everywhere else in fitness, the tendency is towards overcomplication. And maybe it's because running is seen as like this, humble, very natural endeavour.
Yeah.
People don't want to gild the lily
Yeah.
to their own detriment. Well, like, just run.
Yeah.
You know, there's other things you can do to get better at running. Yeah.
Oh, you can overcomplicate running. Oh, oh, yeah, you can.
Well, let's drill down on that then.
Yeah.
What's the biggest mistake people make in terms of overcomplicating their running?
I think it's.
Yeah,
I think it's deviation from a structure, like too many fluctuations in what you're doing. So if you are running once a week or twice a week, but you're just doing easy miles all the time, that's fine. But if you're chasing after a certain thing with like a goal or just throwing miles at a situation and effort without, like, if you need a training plan, like, get a good training plan like that, build that structure in, because it will guide you and sort of settle you into a rhythm of how much you should be running and how little you should be running, when your rest days are, all of those sorts of things. I think people overcomplicate running by kind of trying to do it all very, very quickly.
Yeah, I think so. I think there can be an over-reliance on kit as well. And there's certain items of kit that are essential. Great shoes, great socks is one. I think it's something that people underestimated. But maybe when you start buying like the arm sleeves and the compression socks,
They don't make you go faster.
the arms, I don't think they do. I'm still not sure what the arm sleeves are about. I'll be honest.
If you're like, Eliud Kipchoge, then yeah, for sure, like, get an arm sleeve, do what you want. But I think of everyone else, it's
My brother, he'd never run before, and he wanted to do, and he did do actually. We ran together about 55 kilometres into a weightlifting competition. So he literally ran to the comp, did the comp. Fantastic. He'd never run before.
wow.
So we started running together, and he'd bought these calf compression sleeves. Yeah. And we ran probably like a month, and it was miserable. He was so bad. He was so bad. He was miserable. I'd be like, come on, like, because we very strict programming. Yeah, we've got to get to, but, it was a short window as well. So I knew what we had to hit each week.
Yeah.
And I felt awful. I was like, dude, like, mate, like,
What's going on?
wake up.
Yeah.
Like, you've got to sort this out. And he'd be so miserable. He'd be in so much pain. And then one session, he just doesn't put the compression sleeves on, and he's just gone.
Flu.
And he's like, it was just them. It was just them. I think they were too tired. Yeah.
I love that. I love that. Yeah.
So kit then.
Yeah.
Talk
Yeah.
kit.
Yeah.
The absolute fundamentals, the non-negotiables when it comes to kit.
Shoes, 100% shoes.
But comfortable. It doesn't have to be the best thing, doesn't have to be the latest thing with carbon plates in it, and like 250 quid later, you're like, that's it. Comfort.
Do you have to get gait assessed?
No.
No.
Start off with no.
I wouldn't. I mean, naturally, when you start running, there might be some biomechanical indiscrepancies that you kind of like, which might lead to an injury later on, depending on how you approach it. I think the best thing you can do is start running, get familiar with how it feels, and then if you find a problem,
Yeah.
get a good physio. Don't do a gait analysis. Find a physio who knows running, can look at you, can look at your biomechanics, can kind of figure out where the weaknesses are, get you to train around those weaknesses and build you back up. That's, I think, fundamentally the best way to do it. Because a gait from the start, if you're not used to it, even if you are used to it, if someone told me, like, I could go and run on a treadmill now, and someone might say to me, oh, you do the X, Y, and Z, here's a pair of shoes. The shoes aren't the problem. I'm the problem. So I need to fix me because the shoes are they're just a tool, aren't they? They're fundamentally bits of foam that you strap to the bottom of your feet. So as long as they're comfortable, that's the best thing.
Yeah.
So if I pronate, for example, which I seem to remember, land on the outside of my foot and roll to the inside.
Yeah.
Are you saying that I could actually correct that?
No, you because pronation is totally natural. That's like a shock absorbent. Aggressively overpronating, where you're folding, your ankle is like folding right over. Then that does take some addressing. But pronation is completely like a natural shock absorbent part of the gait.
It's a tricky one, this, because you could obviously get a stability shoe that would stop you doing it.
Yes.
The other approach, and it's not either or, but you could think, do I need a stronger foot? And I think foot strength is something that runners should consider, I think. And there are kind of foot strengthening exercises. Yeah. And you can give yourself more of an arch in your foot with some of these things. And actually having strong feet is apparently a lot of things that the East African runners share. They have, because there's a lot of barefoot movement as a child, even barefoot running. And they have really healthy, functional, it's like quite high arch feet. So that's one area you can look at. I think a lot of people don't think, we get stronger feet.
Yeah, to explain what you mean by stronger feet.
So stronger feet can be stuff like so it would be like scrunching your toes to try and pick up a sock on the floor. If you can imagine that. You can also get a slant board, which is like that, and then you'd be up on your forefoot. So it's kind of calf. Yeah. Calf would be key with it, and you also be kind of working your foot itself. You can do stuff called toga.
Yes.
which is kind of like trying to sort of spread your toes, and you can try and put your kind of big toe underneath and then move it. So it's really trying to get that kind of that feeling back in, feeling back.
Kind of like you're kind of improving your proprioception.
Can you do that? Can you get your big toe under your? Can you toe yoga?
Well,
Toga.
you
actually,
plant the toe and then splay the feet outwards, so you're getting more.
I don't know. I'm just thinking if Quentin Tarantino's watching this, he's absolutely sweating right now.
But back to Rick's point, I mean, I think the thought process should always be, what can I make myself? Can I make my foot stronger? Can I make my calves stronger? Are my glutes working properly? And all that sort of stuff can be led by a physio and like getting that sort of stuff, because
it's body before tools.
Ideally, yeah.
Because it's as we talked about, it's a primitive movement that we're all got this innate sense of being able to do, but but it might need a polish.
Yeah.
So get some instruction from someone rather than
guidance.
But shoes, so comfortable shoes, absolutely paramount. A good sock is good, because then it stops blisters. Discomfort is one of the main things that will put people off from doing it. I got these shoes, God, they're uncomfortable. I've spent 150 quid. I'm not going to do it again. I don't want to go running anymore. That's it. So good shoes, good socks. We were having a chat around this. I think comfortable shorts to stop chafing. You weren't that.
I'm less. I think most people have got a pair of shorts. Most people
absolutely loves it.
Most people got a pair of shorts, like a pair of football shorts or whatever in their drawer that are fine for running. And I think the problem I've got with running shorts at the minute is a lot of them are like 60 quid.
Yeah, I expect.
It's a pair of shorts. Yeah. It's not a huge amount to it. I think, and I think something about t-shirts. I think like a running t-shirt,
whatever you want, top half.
Kind of, It's nice to get a kind of performance t-shirt, but I wouldn't spend loads of money on it.
Yeah, I have made mistakes in the past when I've been doing some longer runs with t-shirts that weren't necessarily set up for it, and then there's some nipple issues.
Okay, yeah. You can tape the nipple.
You can, I've ended up taping the nipples.
Tops off is always an option.
Yeah.
Well,
we're not talking high rocks, are we?
No, we're not. And I think there's certain social etiquette rules to when the top can and cannot be on. I think that's in my head.
Oh, I need to make a note of that.
No,
rerun.
And I think maybe something to consider in the winter months would be like, have you got a waterproof? If you're going to run in the rain, because that's miserable if you get properly wet and you're out on a long run and you're like, I'm 5 minutes in and I'm completely wet. So I think that's possibly in the
range of good kit.
Yeah. There's quite a lot of stuff you don't really need, I think.
What are the most overrated bits of kit?
Half guard,
your brother.
Yeah.
No, they serve a purpose after running. So obviously, if you've ever been in hospital and you had surgery, they put stockings on you, right? So it helps regulate blood, adds pressure in blood. So when you've done a big run, obviously you can put some compression socks on, and it might aid your legs. You don't need them on when you're running. That's I think that there's too much of that.
Yeah.
God, I'm trying to think.
It's hard off that. I think then it comes into kind of what's your own philosophy about running. So I would never spend money like on a running watch. I just think they're like ridiculous now, and I don't tend to run too often with a watch or I've got the Casio on. But that's more. That's probably more my own philosophy than actually the watch themselves being.
They are pretty useful.
Yeah. You're much more into tech than I am. So yeah.
I don't think there's anything actually really that's kind of been invented for running. There's some snake oil stuff which is just like you can
maybe nose strips.
Yes,
maybe nose strips.
Overrated.
Overrated,
possibly overrated.
They've transformed my life at home in bed because
really
it helps my wife with her snoring.
Okay,
hopefully she won't listen to this. But it's been great.
Fair play.
Started nasal strips at night. Not the most attractive thing, but I get a better night's sleep.
Do you think this is a sort of rabbit hole that I spend a lot of time down, but breathing in particular is something that people
you're going to all tell us to breathe through our noses?
No, I'm going to tell you to breathe appropriately for the activity you're doing. What do you think about nasal strips and the sort of thoughts around, is there a correct way to breathe?
Yeah, I've never looked into it properly in running. I've always just felt like you run and then you kind of your
breathe
body
as much as you need to.
Yeah,
and that's kind of it.
I feel like the kind of nose breathing thing is something I've heard about in terms of like zone 2 running and making sure you're not. It's a way of almost like self-limiting. If you're like,
it's like a gear. Yeah,
it's a gear. Yeah. And there's a few physios I chat to who are really into that. I explored it, but it was quite interesting, but it was quite frustrating because I was like, I just can't go quicker just nose breathing.
Yeah. So it was working.
Yeah.
I years ago wrote a feature for Men's Health actually about training with a mask and did that. So it was sort of, it was different. It was called they were all sold as like altitude masks.
Despite not
actually
replicating altitude.
Not directly impacting the composition of the air I was breathing. But restricted airway stuff is because your diaphragm is a muscle.
Yeah.
You can train it. So if you restrict it and you're then breathing harder, it does obviously make benefits later on down the line. So that was interesting. You can.
You're a breathing guy, though, aren't you? You're into this.
Yeah,
It's a breathing right.
I breathe.
I'm a known breather.
You're a fan of breathing?
Yeah,
But, like, how would you approach running? Would it be something that you consider when you run? Like you think?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
I really pay attention to it, but I think sometimes that comes down more to kind of what you were saying earlier about the kind of mental benefits, like watching my breath, counting my breath, syncing my breath with my steps. It acts as a gear.
Yeah.
So if I want to run slow, it kind of stops me from over breathing and running too fast. Essentially, it acts as a natural gear. But also, it's just somewhere to be. It's just somewhere to rest my attention when I'm running.
Yeah.
Which I think, and it's probably very habitual for me. But I'm not like a full time. I can't. It slows me down too much to go completely nasal. So I'll do nasal in, mouth out.
Okay.
And then just kind of titrate that depending on how much CO2 I need to get rid of. And then every now and again, if I push hard up a hill, something like that might switch fully to mouth. But it is just, it's a case of like
Full mouth.
Full mouth.
You're going full mouth?
Full mouth.
Uphill.
Yeah, full mouth up the hill. But I think, like you say, like
Full mouth, tongue out on the way down.
Yeah. The pant. I mean, you've got to lose a bit more heat. I think you can overthink it. And I think
It sounds like you have.
I spent a lot of time thinking about it and realised I'm not running any faster or slower. But I think people do it quite naturally. But potentially there are people with... I think, funnily enough, it's probably less important in running than it is in other endeavours. I think because it's more natural.
Well, I think there's a lot of... I think if you're going... So you do lots of things where you'll carry loads of stuff and then run and then do something else, or say high rocks or something like that, where I think that moderation of breath is probably important for moving from event to event. So you're doing ball throws, absolutely, like you've tanked yourself and then you've got to go and run a K, regaining composure and like control. A lot of that is breath.
Exactly.
That makes a massive difference. I think if you're just running, you hit a rhythm and you will naturally breathe.
Your body will figure it out because it kind of knows what's coming next. Whereas if you're doing something where your physiology doesn't know what's coming next, then you've got to sort of take conscious control and be like, oh, actually, this feels good, but actually something really horrible is about to come up. So maybe I should slow down a bit or something like that.
There is I think it's a guy called Bud Coates, and he was really into like kind of running and breathing. And he said that you need to have an odd numbered pattern. So it would be like 3 steps out and 2 in, because you're on your out breath, you impact the ground harder. So if you had an odd number, then it would be a different foot would be taking
Each time.
Yeah.
And I've tried it. It's quite interesting.
And it also gives you something to think about.
Yeah.
Incredible. Next episode. It also just gives you something to think about. And it's everyone has and I'd like to hear yours now actually, but everyone has over long distances their own thing, right? That they do, whether they're renovating their house and they're doing a mental arithmetic. But I find the breath is useful, something like that. With that, not to derail the conversation completely, but then if your exhale's slightly longer, a little bit more parasympathetic zone might maintain, might sort of waylay fatigue for a little bit longer, or it might just be the fact that you're not in your head going,
I think it's that.
When is this going to? I think it's Occam's razor often with the breath. It's like you're just focusing on something that isn't terrible at this moment.
Okay,
but what do you guys do when you're running?
In terms of what you think about, it's quite random for me. I do find it quite a creative time, and I think we've heard that from a lot of people we chat to. Is that actually like, so alongside running, my other passion is like I like composing music. And occasionally, if I'll have an idea, then it will kind of come into shape in my mind when I'm moving around, and I can kind of problem solve a little bit with it. Something that was kind of hard to figure out, I'd be like, oh, that's what it is. So sometimes having the phone and sort
in
of
the West End musical.
Really?
Well, it's only in the West End for a month, but
Still in the West End.
Is it about running?
No, it's Gwyneth Paltrow ski trial.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Oh, my goodness, you wrote that.
We did the music for it,
Amazing.
Yeah. So
on a run.
a lot of the ideas came walking and running. So yeah, and I think actually a lot of creative people have it as a physical practice. If you're interested in being creative, is really important. Actually, yeah.
It's like a low level white noise. That's honestly, I just
that you're actually making a.
I think that I don't. If I thought back to my last run and what I was thinking about, I couldn't tell you.
Yeah.
So I think that there's probably a lot. I probably do process a lot of stuff, and I do think I do settle and get back from a run and be like, oh, I figured that out, or oh, I've got to do that at work today, and I've sort of da. But actually, when I'm moving, I couldn't. I don't think it's connected. I think it's just a sort of switching off, maybe some background stuff going on, enjoying where I am.
Yeah.
I think that sort of stuff. I wish it was better. Like
I think that's ideal. I think
right,
that really speaks to what you were saying earlier. I think, again, a rabbit hole I spent a lot of time down. But if you are not getting involved with your thoughts there, that's a very healthy relationship to have with them. If you can't remember what they were, because most, 90% of them, we can't all be writing West End musicals. Most of us have pretty useless thoughts. And that's probably a great relationship to have. I imagine most runners can relate to that.
I think that's true. Yeah, there's a book by Haruki Murakami called What I Talk About When I Talk About Running. What I think about. And he said, I run to create a void, which I think is what you're saying in some ways. I run not to think. That's my time not to think, and then I come back, and then that's when I think.
I live in East London, and so I get Epping Forest is where I go running, and that's for me is also part of it. Like I'm not a huge road. I do a lot of road running, but my main running is on off road. So I think there's a sense of you've a bit more attention to where you are because of terrain.
Demands presence, right?
And then obviously just being a bit more immersed in greenery and like that sort of that helps switch things down and calm and all that sort of stuff. So
again, lots of really good research. Like genuinely, this is not just like woolly. There's research behind
access
this, right?
to green space has been proven, especially in children, to reduce anxiety and depression hugely. They did a big study. I think it was focused around, particularly in Brazil, I think, where there was sort of obviously people living in very close quartered, and then exposure to green space and all this sort of stuff, and the difference that it made in terms of their mental health.
My thought process seems pretty similar, but it tends to end with, flipping heck, I'm glad that's over. I'm always dwelling on that thought, and then it's like, oh, I feel better that I've done it.
Yeah.
A lot of times mine is redoing the maths because I'm going slower than I should be. Going, all right.
Oh yeah, there's that crunch point where you go, oh, I am late.
Yeah.
Oh, I've got to
got that really wrong.
I've got to go back now.
Let's talk supplements, nutrition.
Okay.
What's the best way to go?
I'm going to say you guys know way more about supplement nutrition, but I think that, like, from my perspective, I try and keep it really simple with nutrition. Like, I think thinking about protein, particularly after I've run, is something I think about. But I'm going like 20 grams. That's just my kind of general thoughts on it.
Standard protein bar type.
Yeah, or even just real food, really.
What?
No, yeah.
This guy.
You're probably more in supplements, man. But I think I do think nutrition is an area that gets a little overcomplicated, actually. And I think sometimes runners can think they need more of these things like electrolytes the whole time at breakfast or something. And I'm not sure.
Yeah, you don't need to be drinking salt all the time. That's mad.
But a real turn on that, sort of in public consciousness in the last 20 years, haven't we? From like, this will give you a heart attack to people. I don't know even how you're surviving without a gram of salt in your drink, just mainlining it.
Yeah.
I think obviously carbs are king in the running world. You're talking about refueling the engine and making sure your muscles are all packed full of glycogen and all that sort of stuff. So that's important. But I'm sort of along the lines of Rick. I think you can get most of it from real. But we've been talking about doing strength training. If you're going to launch into running and adding strength training, then you definitely need to add more protein in there because that's going to help rebuild everything. You're going to be damaging things. You need to rebuild it. One of the reasons why people skip strength work when they're running is because they don't want to hurt. You do leg day and you haven't done it for a long time. You can't run for 3 days because you're absolutely ruined. So people you need to make peace with that, and then maybe you're definitely increasing your protein. Creatine is the thing that everyone sort of says, and endurance sport creatine actually has some great benefits as well. It's not just the gym. Creatine has been proven in lots of different studies to help with that. I take cod liver oil. I'm going to swear by that.
Mate, this is your one. Cod liver oil.
It's one of vitamin D, cod liver oil, creatine.
Get your amino acids, get your omegas, get all that sort of stuff. I'm on board with all those sorts of things.
Ben, what do you take? What's your like supplement stuff?
I take some creatine.
Yeah.
I take multivitamin in the morning. I work with heights, so I take a multivitamin in the morning.
I've taken some of them as well.
Which I think has really balanced my energy, rehydration stuff.
Yeah,
certainly. I take glucosamine and chondroitin together, which was advised to me by a mate of mine whose father is a climber and he's still climbing in his late 70s. And he said, I've been taking this for years for my joint. So we started taking that and now I take it. So they're sort of the standard ones I take just in terms of, and then I will, when I'm training and I'm training hard in the gym, I will take a lot of protein. I'll keep an eye on my protein, particularly.
Cod liver oil,
all over cod liver oil.
By cod liver oil.
I think it's good.
Big cod liver oil.
I like to bathe in cod liver oil.
I said it earlier, and when I was talking before we did this and I said it out loud, and I was just I went, it's real grandpa stuff, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's real, like,
Yeah.
but
there's a
But
reason.
it does work. It's pretty
Yes.
good. You get a good omega-3.
I think runners are probably behind in terms of like where kind of the men's health read is at. I think it's not something that runners know huge amounts about in terms of protein and supplements. Probably could educate themselves a bit more, maybe. Yeah. Including me.
Yeah. But I mean, it's one of these great things. If you really drill down into your intake and your output, and that really basic, like, not in a boring like calorie counting way, but if you sort of fundamentally have a rough idea of how much energy you're expending, and you can work out what you're eating, and then you look at the macros and the micronutritional bits and pieces. I mean, it's the same with anything. It's the same if you want to get big in the gym, you change the proportions and you grow. And if you want to get faster, you add more carbs because you're doing this. It's all the same sort of stuff. And then I think you can supplement with, all the extra bits.
Cod liver oil.
Cod liver oil and the joint stuff. Yeah. I mean, there's other stuff you can use for performance. L-carnitine is a really good one. It's been abused in the past. It's on like anti-doping lists if you do like vast volumes of it, but you can take it. It used to actually be, I think it was mainly in lots of like pre-workout and maybe almost even like diet stuff, but it's basically, it can offset lactate. So it can help you with like top end lactate insurance and stuff like that. That's why people were injecting loads of it.
Fat oxidized as well, so fuel.
Yeah, it's all that sort of stuff. So if you're certainly in endurance sport, L-carnitine has got benefits. But I mean, beyond that, I mean, that's it really. I mean, you can just be as healthy as you can, supplement when you need to. Yeah.
It's eat enough is a big one, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I think particularly in gym training, bodybuilding, for want of a better word. Again, it's that thing of like delayed gratification. In the gym, you can put, am I putting on weight? No, eat more. Whereas I think possibly in running, it could be a bit more subjective, right? And then you just get injured because you're under fueled.
Yeah. There's quite a problem with reds in running as well. So you get this sort of, there's not enough. People don't really underestimate how much.
Just define that for me.
Relative energy deficiency in sport. Yeah,
there you go. Thank you.
Yeah,
that wasn't a quiz. I was just that's for the audience.
I said it and then was like, guys, going to ask me. He's going to ask.
Yeah. So it's not fueling enough.
It's under fueling for the demands of what you're doing. Yeah.
And lots of pros have been victim to it, especially female athletes.
Yes,
have fallen to foul of it because the demands on the body are so high. They're probably being told that they're too big, so they reduce the amount that they're eating and keep with the higher output of training. So that's another one with running.
Definitely, yeah. I think one of the great things about running, you should feel almost entitled to eat as much as you can.
Yeah. Which is a thing like there's been a pushback, and I think rightly so, particularly in our world, about this narrative of like. I use exercise to offset a diet, but it's not. Yeah. I'd say you come at it the other way and you say like, I need to fuel this amount of training. Therefore, if you're running enough, especially if you're not a big eater, you pretty much got carte blanche. And I think now with like the rise of the hybrid athlete and people kind of coming out of the strength training world, especially the bodybuilding world, it is really easy to underfuel yourself because you're kind of locked into this mindset of what I eat is going to affect me aesthetically.
Yeah.
Therefore, I'm not going to like put down 4 bagels before I go for the run. But like, really, you can, so you should.
I think that's the other difference. Is the aesthetic. Running does have an aesthetic, for sure. Like there's a quintessential, like stereotypical, aesthetic for a runner, I suppose. But the sort of byproduct of running is different to like going to the byproduct of the gym. So being like incredibly ripped and lean from the gym work there's not really that aesthetic form,
I guess being lean would probably be a sign that you're training really hard, but
it's definitely less sort of uniform as well, right? Like the outcome is less funneled towards one optimal. Like there's not, I don't think you could look and say this is what an ideal runner's body looks like. It just doesn't select for one body type in the same way that
that's true.
Other sports do, right?
I think interestingly with me picking up my running again, I've got very good when I'm strength training, finishing my session, making sure I get something in, a protein shake, something. I've got that discipline of doing that. I went for this run yesterday. I don't really eat in the mornings.
Had
a couple of cups of coffee. And then I met Ben, another Ben runner, and we ran. And he wanted to push me it was a 5K test to see, long term. And as we were getting to the last kilometre, suddenly it dawned on me I hadn't eaten anything.
Yeah.
And then all I'm thinking about is I've got to keep going now, and I haven't got anything in my system. So not only am I pushing myself much harder than I would usually, because that was the point of the run, but I literally haven't given myself anything to sort of find an extra little bit of something. And that's the interesting thing for me now, is as I up my running, to be more disciplined about how I fuel myself for the distance or for the runs that I do before I do them.
Yeah. I think that's true. It's easy to kind of underestimate that side of things.
Yeah.
But actually,
just get up and go. But actually, if you want the return and if you want to look after your body and you want it to heal and
you're sort of always fueling. You should always take the approach you're fueling for tomorrow.
Yeah.
So it's always that thing. You're not going like, if I got that big training day ahead, you want to have been doing all the hard work the day before.
Yes, I like that.
It's that, not that.
Yeah.
You're going to be constantly topping up.
Yeah.
If you're certainly even in a big training block with running, you're going to need to be like thinking, I'm working towards, I'm doing 4 runs a week, say, and Sunday's going to be my biggest effort. So if I'm doing 3 other runs in that week, but not preparing for Sunday with all the right food and all that sort of stuff, then you flat out straight away.
Yeah, you don't want to be getting up on Sunday morning underfed, right?
No.
Yeah.
And all that happens in the week. Just making sure that you're not, again, back to the calorie deficit, you're basically never in a deficit.
Yeah.
That's kind of the best way to be.
Yeah, you're pushing calories up, then bringing them back down with performance, pushing up, bringing them back down with performance. I'm conscious of time, but on that note, is there a kind of, we sort of joked about it earlier, but is there an intra-run strategy for nutrition that you would recommend? Like, what's the best? Because I know what I do, and I know what I've figured out works.
Good question. I think historically, something around 40 grams to 60 grams of carbohydrate was talked about, and that in kind of more understandable
per hour of running.
Per hour, sorry. That's like 2 gels.
Yeah.
Probably 2 gels. Now let's talk about, actually, the ceiling's much higher. Like we should be trying to get to 90 grams. There's even talk of 120 grams. And I think cyclists can take on board that amount of stuff. But it's actually, I think on a practical level, getting 90 to 120 grams of carbs is very difficult as a runner. You have to carry a lot of stuff to start off with. And stomach issues can be a real problem.
You're training your stomach and then your body at that point. Like, you are literally turning it into like a little factory of being able to like handle that sort of stuff, and the elites are able to do it because that's what they do. But I still think
60 is a decent.
Yes,
but that's going to fuel you. It's going to keep you until you push right out. And if you're in sort of a relative energy deficiency anyway, then you might. But for most people, 60 grams of carbs an hour is, especially if you don't tolerate it, right? I think that's
exactly.
You very quickly end up on local Facebook groups if you.
There are consequences.
You're doing that every Sunday.
The great thing about nutrition on the run is you can literally experiment with yourself, and that's kind of like what people need to do. That sort of being told this is what you need to have is great as a benchmark. But you're your own little experiment at this point. So go out, don't take anything, see at what point you absolutely like just blow up and be like, well, cool, I did an hour and a half and I'm now ruined, but at least I understand now to that point. And then go and try and have like a gel every hour. Yeah. See what it does, see how you feel, what the body just do, a gel and a half, do a gel and a bit of a drink, whatever you want to do. But there's just, I think, don't ever just, you listen to this. Yeah. You go out for a run and it's got to be
90 grams.
Where's my 90 grams?
60 grams of carbs straight away on your first run, and you'll just, it won't be much fun probably.
Nice. Yeah. I think the best, when we did that 50k with Callum, my brother, we'd gone out. Obviously, this is not a sanctioned. This is just us running to Colchester. We'd gone out the night before and sort of driven and paced out every sort of 5k because we knew that would be more or less half an hour, and kind of basically made like cowboy aid stations, salt grip bins and stuff like that. Experimented between gels and a bit of some Whole Foods bananas, etc., full sugar Red Bulls, that sort of thing. And that 50k was so fun because we'd done it in the dark, so we kind of forgot where we'd put everything.
Little surprises,
and you ended up with like a 50 kilometer scavenger hunt, which is brilliant. But I do think that actually one of the big, like to your point, one of the things that out of training in the gym you don't really ever think about. No. I'm going to have a snack midway. Maybe some like powerlifters do, but that's a big adjustment for people who train in a gym to realise, no, this is an activity where I do
not pre-plan.
Not needs to. I get to take snacks. That's my attitude. I get to take.
Exactly.
Which is amazing. This is a rolling picnic.
Totally.
Yeah. We've got a round of quick fire questions.
Yes,
great. Okay,
all
great.
of our guests. Right. So we're going to put them to you boys.
Okay.
Quick fire questions. Let's start with this one. If you could train, should we go backwards and forwards between the two of you?
Sure.
Okay, so Ben, you answer this one first. If you could train or head out on a run with anyone, dead or alive, who would it be?
No one. I don't care. I'll go on my own. Honestly. Yeah. Straight away.
You don't know.
But my default wasn't like, oh, no. I
There's no running icon.
Anyone dead or alive?
Can I have a go?
You could have a go, yeah.
Catherine Switzer, she's the first woman to officially run the Boston Marathon.
Oh, wow.
very wholesome.
And I've actually met her. And she's an example of someone you say, oh, don't meet your heroes. No, you can meet Catherine Switzer, and she's even better than
She's
you.
worth
imagine.
it.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be a runner.
No, I know it doesn't.
We've literally given you the hypothetical power to resurrect the dead, and you've gone,
No one's good enough. There is no one good enough.
You want to go, Julie?
Why? I don't know.
Gandhi.
Talking to him.
Joan of Arc.
Gandhi was quite interesting. Joan of Arc, yeah, she was
He's
bad.
not going to run very fast, though, Gandhi, is he? Not in those flips.
yeah. Yeah.
No, it's too. I have to think about it. It's quick fire. I can't.
Moving on.
No one's ever said no.
I know, no one.
No one.
Your go-to workout when you're short on time, whether that's running or strength.
I like a progression run where you start off slow and you get faster and faster with each mile. So you can kind of go into it and you can be over in 25 minutes and you've achieved something.
It's the opposite of how
Progression man, go on then.
Progression run.
To be fair, progression run is probably because you do get you tick all the boxes. You get a bit of easy work at the start, and then you build up to threshold, and it is like strapped for time. You can get quite a lot out of it. So I agree.
Snap.
Beautiful.
One movement you absolutely hate.
I really hate the Turkish get-up. I know that it's really good.
Yes.
But I don't know. Okay.
Do you not think so?
I thought it was like this great full body thing, but I just was like, whenever it was in the things in the gym that I was meant to do, I sort of try and skip it. So I'm putting that in there.
I love it because it's so peculiar. It's such a complicated,
it's
fun, nonsense bit of madness.
yeah.
What about you then?
Pull-ups.
Yeah.
Just some.
Got long levers.
That's a long old way.
It's a long way to go.
Long way. What's one song on your workout playlist that's guaranteed to get you fired up?
I love running to Prince, actually. Yeah, I love. I like a joyous, funky sort of groove. I want to be a lover by Prince. That'd be great.
Nice. Yeah.
That's a good one. Raspberry Beret would be my choice if I was going to go for
Prince. Oh, lovely. Yeah.
Luther Vandross, Never Too Much.
Is that 180 beat?
No, it's not. I would say, any
Could be 90,
DJ SS Lighter is a great drum and bass tune to run to. There's so many drum and bass. Anything by Dillinger.
I'm going to look up DJ SS Lighter.
Right, quick fire. Keep going.
That was it. Yeah.
I've got to say, after your answer to the first question, I was half expecting you to say like
nothing.
The sounds of children who haven't received what they want on Christmas.
Crying
On loop.
White noise.
If you could only do one strength and conditioning move for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Squats.
Yeah, I'd say the same thing. I think squats I don't know enough about strength and conditioning to know that that's the one you should pick. But I think for me, it's just like, it's like the daddy of.
You'll have the variation on this, or it just have to be.
I always think you can lawyer this one. You can go technical.
Squats.
Squats. Yeah.
Squats.
Squats. Yeah.
Ultimate pre-race meal.
Probably like a bagel with a banana and some jam.
Oh,
beautiful stuff.
Yeah.
So it's probably same, but peanut butter.
Yeah,
Peanut
butter again, beautiful stuff.
Yeah.
That's a mix of fats and carbs there.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
It's perfect.
What's that? Delayed action fuel. Nice.
Okay.
Or good old oats, just some porridge. Yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah. You can snap your fingers and have one piece of running advice or myth erased from history.
Yeah, thank you for asking this question.
I feel like this was something you've been burning to answer.
There's quite a few, I'll be honest. But there's an idea in running that a negative split is the way to run every race. A negative split when you run the second half of a race quicker than the first. And everyone says, oh, yeah, I nailed it because I did a negative split. It is not the way for 99% of people to run a PB. A genuine, honest PB is almost always a positive split. A negative split is an elite racing strategy where people go off within themselves and then at mile 22, someone throws down a 4-minute mile. It's not how you're going to run your best marathon. So a slight positive split. Let's get rid of all this negative split
positive
nonsense.
split would be a faster first half.
Exactly, yeah. Marginally fast.
Natural decline.
Yeah, exactly. A controlled fade is what we get.
Controlled fade. I like that, yeah.
The marathon is not the benchmark of all running.
I like that.
That needs to get in the bin. Like you meet someone, I'm running. What's your marathon PB? Like that doesn't matter. Like I just think that there's this. It sucks the joy out of running if you suddenly become so focused on one singular thing, one particular distance as well, which is really far.
Yeah,
like, a marathon is really, really far, and for a lot of people, like they'll never achieve it. And I think that just if you lead with that, or you have that in your head as like the one bit of running that everyone like, that's bonkers. I think it's just unnecessary just to have the marathon. It's a great thing to do if you can get there, to make it like you're a runner. What's a marathon?
Yeah.
Oh, come on. Run a mile as fast as you can then. Try that. That's
Yeah.
that's really hard. Like, there's all these little bits
It's the
of run-
bench press of running.
Yeah.
That's
What can you
really-
lift, bro?
Yeah.
Like it's that.
What do you bet?
Yeah.
I think also the myth that running is bad for your knees, that needs to get in the bin as well.
Are we doing a list?
Yeah, that's often comes out.
It is,
bad,
yeah,
bad
yeah.
for your
Bad for knees, can't do it.
Lots of the evidence is completely the opposite.
Not training
running's
correctly
good.
is
Running's
bad.
good for
Yeah.
your knees. Yeah.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
open
weak
volume
glutes
and,
is bad for your knees when running, but
Yeah.
running itself isn't bad for your knees.
Amazing.
Very nice.
Thank you, boys.
Thanks so much. Yeah.
One last test for you.
Okay.
On the Built for Life podcast, Men's Health Built for Life podcast, we have introduced a little bit of a leaderboard for all of our guests, and it's a dead hang.
I've got to go and pick my son up.
Yes.
Great. Okay. Great.
I think what you were saying, AT, was that you can choose between the two of you whether one of you does it and represents.
Do you want to do it?
I think I'm going to be good.
Good.
Oh, hold on.
Genuinely, because I have got to go.
Okay, yeah.
Got to get my son to
No
athletics.
one has said, I think I'm going to be good.
This is
Yeah,
great.
no, everyone's.
No, I've got no idea.
What's the current leader?
Current leader is Tom Aikens, who only stopped because he had to get to service that evening.
Yeah.
My Michelin-starred chef, who'd still be hanging now.
Oh wow.
This guy's got some real.
Yeah. I think I'm going to be good for a runner. That's
Yeah, perfect.
We'll put an asterisk.
Yeah, put an asterisk,
There's been a lot of asterisks.
There have been a lot of aspects.
Yeah,
great.
Everyone's got an asterisk.
Thank you, though, for joining us.
Thanks.
Yeah,
Thank you
no,
very much.
Really lovely.
guys, cheers. And tune in to the Run As Well podcast if you want to get this every single week. With,
Tuesdays.
Yeah, Tuesdays. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah,
Thanks
great.
very much.
Cheers, guys. Ben has abandoned you. He's left you to your fate.
Okay. Yeah. I'm representing the brand here.
You are.
Yeah.
Are you ready?
I think I'm ready.
Let's get our hands on.
It's the wide grip, isn't it? Okay.
Yeah. go
No
up
excuses.
there.
Okay. Here you go.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
3, 2, 1. Let's go.
Right then, what is the official marathon distance?
26.2 miles.
Correct.
Which city hosted the first Olympic marathon in 1896?
Athens.
Correct. Who holds the men's marathon world record?
Kelvin Kipton.
Correct.
Who holds the women's marathon world record?
Is it Chep and Getich?
No, it's Tix Asafa.
Oh, Tix Asafa, yeah.
What year did the marathon distance become standardised?
Was it 1908?
21.
Which country has won the most Olympic gold medals in the men's marathon?
I'm going to guess Kenya.
Correct. That's over 30 seconds. What does VO2 max measure?
Your the amount of oxygen you can efficiently use while exercising.
We'll take that, yeah.
Correct. Coming up to 45 seconds. Roughly what percentage of marathon energy comes from fat oxidation in well-trained runners?
God, I wouldn't think that much. 30?
50 to 60. What is lactate threshold often described as?
You're a minute.
God, I don't know.
The fastest pace you can sustain without rapid lactate accumulation.
Which muscle group is most commonly associated with runners' knees?
Muscle group.
Yeah, come on. 110.
The quads.
Correct. What is the primary purpose of a long run?
To boost aerobic endurance.
Correct.
What does easy pace usually correspond to in heart rate terms?
About 60%.
Zone 2?
So two.
Yeah. What foam material made Nike's Vaporfly famous? Oh, stop the clock. Stop the clock.
I love the regrip though. You
No
were
one's
committed to
regripped,
it. 131. That was solid.
Okay, 130. Okay, that's okay.
Really
yeah,
good.
That's
That's
solid.
okay.
131.
I started that last question. Let's see if you could have answered it. What foam material made Nike's Vaporfly famous?
This is the PBA foam, right?
Yeah, Pebax-based Zoom X.
Zoom X foam. Yeah.
Zoom X foam. I won't give you that one though. 'cause
No,
you didn't.
fair. yeah.
Max, how much was his time?
131. So a solid showing.
31.
And 8 correct answers.
Okay,
That's
right.
really good. That's a really good number of
Yeah,
correct
it's
answers.
snuck. Yeah,
Okay.
it's towards the top of the
It
leaderboard.
is towards the top of the
Okay, well, that's good. I haven't come last. That's
There's,
good.
there's
Right.
definitely a golf still out in first, but
Yeah, there is
well
one person who's way ahead. He's gone
Yeah,
over
yeah.
the horizon.
Okay, yeah.
However, the runners have been very well represented.
Okay, well, that's good. That was all I was trying to do.
That
Yeah.
was brilliant. Lovely stuff.
Thank you very much, Ben. Cheers.
Cheers, Dave. Thank you very much.
Cheers. Thank you.